So imagine this. You've just gotten every platinum for the Insane Trilogy, and you follow it up with 106% in Crash Bandicoot 4. This means you've spent over 100 hours of your life hitting every box, getting every platinum relic, and beating every level perfect without dying. Yet for some reason, you just want to keep playing Crash. So you decide to see if you can beat Crash Bandicoot 4 without hitting a single box. That's been my life this past month, so let's see how it went. First up is Rude Awakening, which introduces us to a few important details of this challenge. In most Crash Bandicoot games, your progress is saved throughout a level when you hit a checkpoint crate. Unfortunately, this challenge will stop us from getting a single one. However, Crash 4 does allow you to save your progress in other ways like cutscenes and bonus stages, which we'll be using throughout the challenge. Here we find the first Aku Aku crate, which grants 1 hit point of invincibility. While we can't break these crates, the game is kind enough to give us an Aku Aku mask if we die enough times. At the end of the tunnel, we come to our first challenge, a huge wall of crates that seems impassable without breaking at least one box. Luckily, a well-timed double jump lets us sneak by. The first grind rail section proves a little difficulty as we avoid the boxes it's trying to get us to break. And with that, we can wrap up the rest of the level, going into Insanity Peak with 0 boxes broken. As the second level of the game, things here are pretty straightforward, and the only real challenge is avoiding boxes while running from the giant spirit chasing us. But we managed to avoid hitting anything and come away with another 0. Oh, right. You see this guy? He actually broke every single box we just skipped. So, is it possible to beat Crash Bandicoot 4 with no boxes broken? Definitely not. But we can refocus here. Our new goal is to find the minimum number of boxes broken as shown in the end level screen here. Up next is a real grind, where things start to get interesting. As the name suggests, this level is full of grind rails, which prove to be a nightmare for this challenge. This section forces us to break not 1, but 2 boxes. There's also a slick move here under the wall where we can avoid hitting anything. The rest of the level went pretty smoothly, and we can avoid the nitro trigger at the end to leave with our first 2 boxes broken by Crash himself. Our next level teaches us a very valuable lesson. Don't spin on enemies. Just don't do it. The rest of Crash Compactor has us dodging these flamethrowers and finding yet another reason to hate grind rails. We leave with 1 box broken. Hit the Road allows us to fly through the level with ease, avoiding every box along the way. That is until Engine sabotages us with another chase sequence. We avoid everything, but still end up with 64 boxes broken. Okay then. At least the boss fights in Crash Bandicoot don't have any boxes. While we're here, I'll show off some speedrun tech, where you can actually stand on this drum and slide spin to skip phases of the engine fight. We'll be skipping the rest of the boss fights because nothing really happened to them. Booty Calls introduces us to the pirate-themed world, where we start out with some precise dodging on grind rails. Don't worry, it still forces us to break a box later on. The rest can be avoided by some good swing timing and avoiding every enemy throughout the level. That makes 1 box broken. Next comes our first level with Tawna, one of the 3 side playable characters of the game, and we immediately run into a problem. We can't get past this floor of crates. The game is trying to teach us the down slam mechanic, but we don't have to break all these boxes. Unfortunately, they also decided to throw an invisible wall across this whole section, meaning no matter what I try, it is impossible without breaking at least 1 box to get Tawna through. After we barely manage to squeeze through, we find an identical set of floor crates. So we'll just use the same technique and be on our way. Or we can just stand here. Nice. Good game design. After breaking another 4 more crates to get by, we find the rest of the level a breeze. And then, of course, we come across a checkpoint crate that has an invisible hitbox above it. Impossible to avoid. This is the only one like it in the entire game. It never comes up again. That leaves us with another 6 boxes broken to get through. Jetboard Jetty is up next, which I would say is the first difficult level in a casual playthrough of Crash Bandicoot 4. It also happens to be the first difficult level in this challenge. Remember how I mentioned bonus stages could be used as a checkpoint for us? Well, in this level, we start to take advantage of that. If you activate a bonus platform, you can immediately die without breaking a single box, and it will still act as a checkpoint for you. Unfortunately, It comes in this level right before anything hard begins. Jetboard Jetty has dozens of spikes, sharks that will throw their fish to break boxes, and the infamous Jetboard, which is trying to destroy everything in its path, with floating rats hell-bent on killing you. But alright, let's go over the highlights. We can avoid this shark from breaking a box by jumping over his line of sight. After dying enough times, we receive an Aku Aku mask to damage boost through here, and then we can enter the final Jetboard section with 0 boxes broken. By that I meant 1 box broken from something completely off screen. I couldn't tell you how long I spent trying to figure out why this was happening. Sometimes it was only a matter of time and it would break. Others seemed to be based off my position. I knew I probably couldn't stop it, but I had to know what was happening, and I genuinely still have no clue. After this, we are forced to break 1 more box, leaving us with a total of 2 as we cruise past Louise to finish the level off. Our next level is Give It a Spin, where we find the Econo Mask, which is great at breaking boxes when we don't want him to. This level has a few tricky jumps, but is otherwise pretty straightforward. That is till this section. Each jump here is so precise that I spent 30 minutes on this one screen alone. The first wall of crates can be avoided by perfectly timing your movement through the gap. And then the second one requires an immediate double jump, which is much harder than it looks, and had me mashing the X button to pull it off each time. Finally, we have the TNT crates, where there is just enough room on the right side to barely land on the ledge. This allows us to beat the section with only 3 boxes broken. But it took me 180 tries to get consistent with it. Now all we have to do is go from the start of the level. Once we manage to get a successful run from the beginning, we reach our second kind of checkpoint, which is given by the side characters like Tawna doing something off screen. When that question mark shows up by Crash, our progress is saved. With that behind us, we find 2 more TNT crates that must be broken before we can finish the level with a total of 5. Our next level was actually the inspiration for this challenge, where we are awarded the blue gem for breaking 0 boxes. Not much to say here since the game was designed to avoid everything. Off balance was so easy that I managed to beat it on my first try without breaking a single box. This was a welcome break before coming into offbeat. Now this level, this is my favorite in the whole game. The music and colors are just so good. But damn it, there are just so many grind rails. Seriously, the second half of this level, all grind rails. The beginning is great, with the only tricky spot being these tight jumps between the nitro crates. We actually managed to make it through all with 0 boxes broken. That is until the grind rails. Here we can avoid a couple of crates by swinging out of the way, but we still come away with 7 from just the first section. With some good timing and swinging, we dodge a few more at the end, but this last bit pushes us up to 16 broken even after avoiding the nitro trigger. Next, we're introduced to Dingo Dial and his vacuum gun. Then straight away, we find an enemy more concerned with breaking boxes than killing us. Not a problem though. We can use an Aku Aku mask to block the shot and then finish him off. Following this are some flying TNT crates, which are easy to avoid here, but will become a nuisance in later levels. The most difficult part is definitely here at the very end, but since these guys don't know how to shoot, we can leave the level with 0 boxes broken. On to Run It By You, which is primarily a jetboard stage. Here we can avoid hitting any boxes by keeping to the right side on these jumps. There are quite a few of these throughout the level, and they work perfect each time. Next, we come up to the auto-scroller ride, except we won't be taking it. Instead, we're going to use this glitch that speedrunners use to go out of bounds and skip the whole section. You may have noticed I changed skins here. That's because this doesn't work on current patches, so I had to go back to the PS4 version to do it. While we're back here, we can avoid every crate, with the only danger being this one alligator that can still kill us for some reason. Back on the jetboard, we just have to finish the level and call it a day. Except all the boxes are now invisible. That means we have to carefully make our way through the end of this level without seeing anything, which actually looks like this, in case you forgot. But we make it through and have another level with 0 boxes broken. Snow Way Out proved to be a breeze, giving us 3 levels in a row without any boxes broken. It could have been 4 if this grind rail didn't exist in Stay Frosty. But it's at least only one box for the whole thing. Then comes bears repeating, and here's where things get a little bit weird. So, we come along this line of nitro crates, which of course is the worst because we can't get around it without breaking at least some. We come away with 49 total boxes broken. So during the process of making this video, I found someone else who had the same idea for the challenge. It was great to see how T. Flinney tackled each problem and the spots where I was able to improve on his record. Then I noticed something off. He had gotten 48 boxes broken instead. He also noticed that the math did not work out here. This made me want to go back and investigate. I hopped on the PS4, messed around for about 10 minutes hoping I could recreate the glitch, and instead I ended up with 51 boxes broken. After checking, that's the actual number of crates that are on screen. There's 15 on the right and then 36 on this left side. I'm not sure how both of us were able to get lower, but for now I'm going to go with 48 as the theoretical lowest box count here, with a chance to go lower if someone could figure out why exactly this was happening. Time for a blast of the past. And look, more grind rails. I love being forced to break boxes. That's why I play Crash Bandicoot. Thank you, game. Thank you. Okay, 8 boxes broken. Let's move on. Now we get to play as the final character of the game, Cortex, and his level is full of acid-spitting plants that destroy crates. Luckily, we can guide their attacks and avoid anything from breaking besides this one box here, which is impossible to prevent. The level ends with a floor of crates, so we have to break one more, bringing our total to 2. Dino Dash is a combo of the two things we hate most for this challenge: grind rails and chase-ins. Luckily, the rails here are friendly and let us phase the boxes out of existence before hitting them. There are a couple of tough jumps, and after dying way too many times here, I can manage to get through the entire level without breaking a single box. If only we didn't have a T-Rex right behind us that managed to break 47 of them. Out for Launch is a pretty simple level where we can pull off this trick to avoid crates while wall running. Unfortunately, we run into another 4 boxes on this grind rail. And then we come to the bonus stage, where guess what? 3 more mystery boxes break off screen. Once again, can't figure out what's going on here. It's probably something getting shot by one of these aliens before we could ever reach it. But that's okay. We can fly through the rest of this section, making sure none of the other boxes get shot. And end the level off with another grind rail for a total of 10 boxes broken. Stowed Away greets us with stack after stack of boxes we must slide through. This level is full of tight corridors where we have no choice but to break a few just to get by. Later, we find 2 more sections with unavoidable boxes, 1 here and then another 3 here. In this part, we have to break 1, but with a good mask timing, we can actually avoid that bottom crate, which Toys for Bob never expected to happen. And we can walk away with a total of 13 broken. Except I should only have gotten 12 here based on my footage. Turns out, at the very beginning when I got 8, I had somehow broken a box in that stack of 2. So, that means I get to redo the whole level just to get 1 less box. So here we are for 12. Time for Crash Landed, and damn if this wasn't the hardest level in the game. There aren't any crazy tricks, but most of our time is spent on this baby Snurgle sliding out of control. There's 3 TNT crates at the beginning that we have to blow up regardless of where we are, and then we hit the bonus stage far too early, meaning we have to beat the rest of the level without a checkpoint. Immediately after, we find a starfish that breaks a box, but that's okay. We'll just skip that platform entirely. The final part of the level is the longest ride in the game. I spent at least an hour trying to beat this. They have starfish that will eat you, Mama Snurgles you have to avoid while jumping over boxes, and don't even get me started on this last section, which is hard enough to begin with. But now, we can't touch any of the boxes either. But we find a way to avoid everything. And then this happens. I was broken. And then I came back the next day and got it super easy. 3 boxes total. We're coming to the final levels of the game, and Food Run hits us with flying TNT that will explode no matter what you do. In this first section, we end up passing 8 of them to add to the counter. Next is one of the hardest parts of the game. We end up having to break 2 at the beginning, but then can pass over that set of TNT. A crouched high jump here prevents that first one from locking onto us. Then, with a well-timed spin jump, we can just barely make it between these two walls. Unfortunately, to get past this section, we do have to activate all of the other flying TNT crates hunting us down. That'll add a total of 11 boxes more to the counter. Luckily, the ending is pretty smooth. We do have to pass 3 more crates, which adds up to a total of 22 boxes broken this level. Rush Hour is the longest level in the game, with a whopping 441 boxes and a ton of grind rails. Right off the bat, we come across a flying TNT crate that's forced to explode. This level looks like it could be a nightmare. It's actually pretty easy though. We can avoid this nitro cape from hitting anything, and this box is the only other one that explodes the whole level. We avoid this one with a jump around the side, and the grind rails actually prove to be friendly here. The ending is difficult as always, but we managed to come away with only 2 boxes broken. Crate Escape is up next, where we can avoid these TNT with a simple jump. Of course, we run into more flying crates, but once again, we can't avoid activating one of them by just jumping around it. The rest of the level with Cortex is simple, but this ending with Crash comes across more flying crates. Even if we're fast enough to reach level before one of them explodes, it will still be added to the counter in the end, so 5 is the minimum boxes we can break here. We start off the final world with nitro processing, which was honestly pretty easy. Half of my time was spent dying here at the start so I could get an Aku Aku mask. This was needed because you can't spin these little green guys, and one of them always breaks a box here. With that, the rest of the level was a breeze, with 0 boxes broken. On to Toxic Tunnels, with what I consider the hardest jump in the whole challenge. After about 200 deaths, and the perfect timing, you can just barely make it past here with a body slam at the end. I mean, look at that. You are literally sliding off the air to make this jump work. The end of the level has a few more tricky jumps, but we can actually make it the whole way through without breaking a single box. Finally, for Cortex Castle, and this was a fun one. A slide jump into a Kano allows you to get over this first set of TNT. Then, some careful movement and well-timed spins can get us through the first half of the level without hitting anything. And thank God for this checkpoint, because the next section is even harder. We start off with another slide jump to avoid breaking 3 crates in this first section. After a careful save, we have a pretty simple jump that allows us to get over this TNT. Here we then use a Kano to avoid the first set of lasers, that way we can jump through the second, damage boosting. Now, you think you could just do that through all of these, but for some reason every other wall of lasers insta-kills you through this section. That means we're forced to walk away with 9 boxes broken for the final level. I really don't want to talk about that. After doing it all over again, we have officially beaten the game. So, where does that leave us? After tallying up the total from each level, we come to 300 boxes broken. While that's a lot, there are over 7,500 in the game. That means we can skip 96% of them, which I'm going to take as an absolute win. And that wraps up my first video. I'm currently working on a Spyro challenge that should come out within a few weeks, but if anyone has suggestions for future video ideas or challenges, I'd love to hear them. Thanks!